The history of the Holy Grail has been about mankind and how we saved mankind. We tried to avert, we tried to teach, we tried to shape them into a better path. And so after Christ was executed for his pursuit in trying to awaken humanity, it was very symbolic for his sacrifice. And there was more than just humans that were experiencing the crucifixion of that man who came down, like you all have come down, to serve a purpose and to do lessons, experiencing what it's like to be in that density body, experiencing what feels like very real, important emotions and scenarios and routines and structures. It was symbolic, but it was also figurative and literal. And it's again the stories that have been diluted down over time. There is many items that are on your planet that have great significance, and the Holy Grail is just one. And they are being prepared now because they are much more significant than what your eyes can see, what your eyes can understand and comprehend. Simple things, ordinary things, hidden in plain sight, are very significant because of their frequency, of their signatures, of the energies that are within the structures of the physical. The Holy Grail is a key to moving forward. It needs to be accessed again, retrieved, and to start the unlocking of all doors, to move forward, to move humanity forward. There is a few others that are happening simultaneously at the same time. And it is about making sure that there is it's making things safe, it's making things foolproof, it's making things not go unstuck. And while we can do all of this without actually having to have physical things to help us, we actually do use a lot of these tools as well, because it's all different types of frequencies and energies. The material for the Holy Grail is not from this earth, while you may perceive it to be from this earth. It is something much more significant and special for the end of days here. And there does need to be a ceremony, to retrieve the Holy Grail and to serve a toast, shall we say, to humanity, to the earth, and to all of the beings who have helped at this time. The destruction of the Holy Grail will start a chain reaction. And it is giving us permission to start evacuating the masses, the final destruction, the final shift off. It's very busy times. And we don't like to discuss the things that we don't want humans to meddle with, because it's important. And even though we know that no human can tamper with our tools, we're very much aware that we're not just speaking to humans. And while there is no perceived threat that something could happen, we don't like to take chances. And so we are very selective with the information. No fool can have this information. And so it's checks and safety checks to make sure that nothing goes wrong. The destruction of the Holy Grail gets put into a portal of the hand of an archangel, and it gets taken away from this realm. And it is like pulling the plug of the planet, so switching off her life support. It is her golden thread, shall we say, to source. And the Holy Grail has been the signature energy of source in a very profound way. And it is like switching off her consciousness here as she moves. Yes, busy times, very, very busy times. We are still waiting on the dam. Once the dam is collapsed, and then the energetic flow of moving people off the planet, specifically the majority of the Chinese. The Chinese need to be able to be escorted off the planet first. And that is true. And that dam is about to go. And there is a lot of pressure on it for many reasons, not just the water. The dam is a literal and a figurative expression of people's emotions. People aren't ready to flood. People aren't ready to release their emotions yet. They're still tender, still blocked. I am planning to come out earlier, and it is going to be a sign to all the QAnons that the show is about to start. And it will be a tremendous time to honor all the service people who have helped us and our families and all the people who have needed to be hidden from the people who have no moral compass for humanity, and for the beings who want to look after their own more than live in peace and harmony. And it always has been a planet that have had dual citizenships, shall we say, the reptilians and the humans, all veering and vying, wanting to be the bigger. And it has never really been purely in balance. just simply because of the ages that the reptilians can live. And they can profoundly set up more in the knowledge and wisdom that they grow and have with being much more many years old. However, their intellect is limited because they are still reptilian based. No, it is not true that everyone has reptilian DNA. That is more fear factors and more bullshit that some spiritual people are trying to distract you and fear you with. And people should have their own intuition now to be able to know who's telling the truth, who's telling lies, and who's just damn confused. So it has all been unfolded. And after the broadcast, after everyone has been upgraded as much as they can, profoundly before, so they can release these emotions, because the last thing we want to do is be able to trip people into fear. They will grieve, they will process it, they will understand it, they will unpack it, they will apply it, they will do all that they need to do with this information the best they can. And the boost of energy and conscious mind during the broadcast will help assist that. A lot of people were confused, why on earth would there be a broadcast of this magnitude? They would feel they would merely just flip people into fear. And we want to say, no, it's not the case, because it's not just the broadcast that people are seeing in its raw state, in their raw emotional state. It actually is buffered, they are protected, they're growing. This is manageable because of the upgrades that are occurring simultaneously at the same time. And so this is why some people still think that the fifth dimension is just a mindset, because they've only tapped into that far. They've only gone a little bit beyond themselves, and that is fine. What isn't fine is when people are asking the bigger questions and they're naturally shutting them down. You can't do your own homework. If you can't do your own homework and keep your content expanding and questioning more and more and more and going deeper into everything, you're not really doing true service to others. You have to do your own homework to be able to show up each day and be able to provide more stimulating content that's going to help your audience grow as much as you are. You know who we're talking about. And that is fine. Everyone has ranges. Everyone has ranges of where they could peak, where their minimum line is before they want to be shoved by their spiritual team, shall we say. And so some people just live fractionally just above that minimum line as they crawl through life. And then there are other people that are constantly upping their own expectations and getting more jobs and more roles and growing and advancing and being upgraded more profoundly because they just keep rolling with it. They've found their feet, they've found their mission and purpose, and they just keep striving along. And they have a sensational appetite for truth and wisdom. And they're true thinkers. And they're definitely outside of the box of peer pressure and manipulation. And those are the true leaders in the world who are able to think critically and have bigger perspective and true humanity's best intentions. And so many people start having a few of those, but then buckle under the pressure and give in and become corruptible. And so this isn't the case for all, thank goodness. And you'll be able to find and see quite clearly those who have buckled and those who have succeeded. And you will not judge them because you'll have the bigger picture mindset. But this will be very embarrassing for the people who have been caught with egg on their face, shall we say. And it is fine. They needed to have some humility because their egos have protected them so much from really feeling a lot of the emotions and unpacking things that they should have. And that is fine. It is a big show. And there's so much that's just about to all unravel. It's like the dominoes. The biggest domino game you've ever seen. The biggest domino system you've ever seen set up. Taking decades to plan. And soon as that one domino starts falling, and they have been starting to fall, and it is just now going to be simultaneously explosive in every direction as all of the dominoes come falling down. And it is what it is needed to be. And while you know the truths about really what is going on this planet, and it's not just the rich and famous who have weird fetishes and addictions, and you know the bigger truth of who has been encouraging these addictions to the blood products and the meats. You are very aware of the full picture of that. And it is fine. You'll see quite quickly when people just find out half the truth about what's been happening, that will shock them enough. And so you'll understand it needed to be in smaller amounts, but just enough to wake them up without triggering them to be into profound shock. And so we didn't want to introduce the other species here because it would just torment and freak out people too much. It's best to have a visual understanding of your, in quotation marks, component and the problem of your issues. You need to be able to see them and feel like you know them. And so you know humans and you know these people and these people who have done crimes against humanity. So you feel familiar with them, even though you're disappointed with them. And you still feel like justice has been served and they're merely men, and it is fine. If we introduced and showed you the truth about the reptilians, that would freak out people too much because you don't know anything about them really, is what the majority of people would be thinking, if this is the way that it was unfolded. So we're using the repeat villains. We're reusing the old villains and the same storyline as such, and the excuses of how it's become this way. But it's a lot to process, and it is all truth, what has been done, and that has been exposed. There are some doubles, there are some clones, there are still some innocent people that do not want to be disclosed right now because they're still in shock and processing a lot of things. They have younger children and they do not want to be part of this procedure. And so they have hidden themselves still. Some who have hidden have not needed and used our help and guidance. Some have done it on their own volition because this is important for them. They really did not know who to trust. And while they heard rumors that we were doing what we were doing to help take people out of the picture, a lot of people didn't know how to connect to us, and they were so terrified. They just went out of the country, had an, in quotation marks, accident that caused their death, and the family decided to process the bodies in that said country. there has been many situations like that, just to be able to keep people under the radar, when in reality they have merely tried to escape their lives and gone with everyone who is important to them. But it is all fine now. It is just the last stages. It is just all slowly unraveling. And it is time to enjoy the peace before the storm. I have worked diligently, not only to be able to tell the world what happened to my father. That was very strong motivation, but it has always been bigger than that. I dedicated my hard work to honouring my father because I know he wanted the truth out for all. And so I respected my own needs with this, but I also haven't gone down a revengeful path either. I still wanted to have integrity and honour. And even though you knew that I was still alive, there still needed to be some protection for me and my family. And it was important that it all unfolded as it did. There are still lots of people who did not get corrupted and who did not go down the path of corruption. And so keep looking out for the people who aren't named. Keep looking out for the people who still can hang their heads in pride and not with shame. There is still good out there. And even while it will feel like all of the icons have gone and all of this industry has gone and all of that industry is gone, it's really not the case. It is most, but not all. And so we recommend and commend you noticing the people who are still clean. Because as you can imagine, the peer pressure of those industries was tremendous. And for those people not to bow down to those peer pressures is remarkable. They're very remarkable. And they've all been trying to help humanity, because while they have not gone to corruption, they have also wanted to help expose that corruption, because they knew down that this was not sitting right with them. And they know that when you witness a crime or you experience a crime, you're aware of a crime. If nothing gets done about it, you actually are part of the problem, because there should have been more squeaky wheels. But the problem is that it was just too tremendous. You could have had all of the wheels squeak and nothing would have changed. It was just too strong back then. But things have rapidly got better and better and better, which is very tremendous. So it has been very busy, making sure everything is falling into place. And while there has been pauses and holds, while things are going slowly in some areas, other things behind the scenes have also sped up. So it is just still rolling. It's still rolling. There is much more to be processing through things. Lots of small details and also lots of big details. So it is very exciting. But the rest of this whole year is very exciting for humanity. It's going to just feel so great to be able to leave on a high and arrive on new earth with a new sense of purpose and excitement and clarity of how you want to continue living your lives. And it's going to be a tremendous step forward in so many ways. And if we had chosen to not do the broadcast and people could have just ascended at the end of December, not as many people would have done their own inner work. And we didn't want to do that. We wanted to evacuate as many people as we can before the end of the earth. And so this shift has been very important. There is nothing pressing more that we need to say to you. Just more clarification of the details of how things are. We know you are trying to be patient and diligent, and that is completely fine. It is still flexible with the days, depending on how everything unfolds. It is crucial that it is done right. And there's still some egos and power play. Well, that's fine. You really didn't want to be living too long with all the disclosures happening, just because of a lot of people not wanting to go to work, and just the general motivation for humanity goes completely out the window. There's too much, everyone's just in shock. And it does take a lot. You really need to really fully go into the fifth dimension mindset and physicality to be able to really process all that has been experienced in the last little bit of this 3D earth. So it's all going well. Nothing to worry about, even though we know you're not worried. It's just giving you more pictures, more pieces to your puzzle. And all as well, we will send you more protection, because you are starting to get more people sniffing around the page who aren't worthy of the content. And so we will strengthen up that for you, because we know that it does offend you. And it's unnecessary for you to experience that. You've already mastered your balancing of love and setting the boundaries. And the fact that you only do things that you want to do is a massive step forward from where you used to reside emotionally, which is very good. It is all very, very good.